The conflict between Russia and Ukraine continues to escalate, pushing the boundaries of the battle further each day. Initial skirmishes, confined within Ukrainian borders at the beginning of the war, have spread to areas like Kursk, and alarmingly, even to Moscow, the Russian capital. St. Petersburg, too, has felt the impact of the war. While major Russian urban centers, such as Moscow and St. Petersburg, are not facing direct frontline battles, there have been frequent instances of drone and missile strikes targeting critical sites. St. Petersburg documented its first drone incursion in January of 2024. By March of 2024, authorities in the city were implementing stricter security protocols across the municipality, following a drone crash and explosion within an apartment block. However, tensions in the city have surged yet again, following a drone attack allegedly launched by Ukrainian forces in the hometown of Russian President Vladimir Putin. This strike was aimed at a vital port facility of the city. Before we delve deeper into the implications of this key assault on St. Petersburg, it's vital to subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications, and like us, ensuring you stay informed with all our latest content. Now, let's get started. A petroleum refinery in St. Petersburg, Russia, experienced several strikes suspected to be of Ukrainian origin. In this intriguing offensive, the aerial vehicles targeted the port of Ust-Luga, the country's foremost maritime trade port, second only to Novorossiysk. The port is a critical hub for Russian maritime logistics, which understandably caused concern among local residents and city authorities. It's also noteworthy that, near Ust-Luga, most of the drones were reportedly intercepted over the Novatek transshipment terminal within the port itself. Local authorities reported that 4 drones were downed, though thankfully without any resulting injuries. Nonetheless, recent imagery from the incident scene showed substantial damage to the port. According to Russian officials, the drone attack by Ukraine isn't the first such event recorded at that facility since the invasion in 2022. Ukrainian forces have progressively aimed at critical Russian infrastructure, seeking to disrupt their logistics and military supply networks. On January 21st, detonations were reported close to the Ust-Luga oil terminal, later revealed to be a component of a special operation initiated by the Ukrainian Security Service. The Ukrainian armed forces commonly place locations such as this on their list of high-priority targets. The Ust-Luga trade port began its operations in December of 2001 with the erection of a coal terminal and rapidly rose to the rank of Russia's second-largest port by the early 2020s. It plays a pivotal part in exporting various fuel supplies, including those used by the military. Therefore, it is no surprise that this port was a key target for Ukrainian forces. Moreover, Ust-Luga's advantageous setting on the Baltic seashore helps Russia maintain a crucial naval presence within the region. The port also aids in the transportation of commodities crucial for military use. Given Ukraine's understanding of the strategic importance of this port, it is likely that Ust-Luga might face further attacks in the near future. Simultaneously, Russia's loss of access to European harbors because of various sanctions has made Ust-Luga an extremely important hub for transshipping goods headed to Asia, especially China and India. Such exchange allows Russia to continue participating in international markets. Experts suggest that the Ust-Luga port not only contributes significantly to Russia's economic policies, but is also a crucial tool for the nation's financial and military survival amid a global isolationist environment. In light of the opportunities this port provides, it is vital for Russia in the present circumstances. In the near future, services at the port of Ust-Luga will likely be affected while crucial repairs are underway and local authorities investigate the incident. It's expected that there may be counterattacks from Russia on Ukrainian port facilities in retaliation to the events that occurred in Ust-Luga. Besides Ust-Luga, the officials in other Russian districts such as Bryansk, Smolensk, Belgorod, and Pskov reported instances of drone activity on the night of January 34th. The Russian Ministry of Defense claimed that their military had downed 16 drones across the regions of Leningrad, Bryansk, Smolensk, Belgorod, and Pskov overnight. Before moving forward with the next chapter, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, press the like button, as well as write in the comments from where you are watching us, because this is very important for us. Also, please watch the video until the end, because in the end, I will draw the main conclusions for the events we are talking about. On the morning of January 4th, air traffic was briefly halted 2 times at St. Petersburg's Pulkovo Airport. Arrivals and departures at Pulkovo International Airport, more than 800 kilometers from Russia's border with Ukraine, were delayed from 7:45 to 10:15 Russian time. As quoted by Rosaviatsia press spokesperson Artem Kinako, these flight restrictions were put into place for purposes of security. The air traffic halt occurred as Russian anti-air defenses reportedly destroyed a record total of 4 drones over the Leningrad region, according to Governor Alexander Drozdenko. Aircraft crews, air traffic controllers, and airport personnel are following necessary protocols to ensure passenger safety. On the morning of January 4th, the Pulkovo Airport initiated the carpet plan for the second time in 24 hours. As part of this procedure, Rosaviatsia press spokesperson Artem Kinako stated that during the flight halt, 20 planes bound for Pulkovo were redirected to alternative airports, while 6 planes entered holding areas nearby Lake Ladoga. Restrictions at St. Petersburg Airport allegedly lasted for more than 2 hours. It's important to note that initial air traffic disruptions were not expected to clear before the end of January 4th, due to airlines attempting to manage the backlog of flights. As of now, authorities have issued no definitive statement on the current situation at the airport. These disruptions lead to worry and fear around the city of St. Petersburg and provide us with key insight into Russian defenses. The Russians showed they could not protect even the birthplace of Vladimir Putin. It is also a well-known fact that several S-300 anti-aircraft defense installations are present in and around St. Petersburg. In fact, a local citizen once even shared footage of anti-air missile defense systems blocking roads in order to move into position. These systems were installed everywhere around the region. You might recall that a drone previously flew over one of Vladimir Putin's estates in Valdai and subsequently struck the St. Petersburg oil terminal, which happens to be the largest oil product transshipment facility in the Baltic area. This event was followed by a rise in the presence of S-300 air defense systems in St. Petersburg. However, we now understand that S-300s are inadequate for the defense of St. Petersburg. In order to better understand this inadequacy, we should look in more depth at the specifics of these systems, which are quite prevalent in St. Petersburg. The S-300 is a group of Soviet medium-range anti-aircraft missile defenses. Mass manufacturing began in 1975, and testing was completed by 1978. The first S-300 regiment was brought into combat duty in 1979. By the end of the 1990s, this defense system utilized greater than 20 sorts of missiles, including differing missiles, radars, electronic warfare equipment, and range. Currently, Russia uses 3 kinds of missiles: 5 V-55K, 5 V-55R, and 48N6, outfitted with high explosive warheads which can weigh up to 144 kilograms. The S-300 complex contains a launching vehicle, a long-range surveillance radar, command vehicles, and an attack radar that helps position the system parts at a distance of up to 40 kilometers, and which has an effective range of up to 100 kilometers at heights between 25 meters and 27 kilometers. It is intended to combat strategic and tactical aircraft, cruise missiles, operational tactical missiles, and ballistic missiles. The S-300 is claimed to be resilient to electronic countermeasures. The long-range radar can track objects at a range of up to 300 kilometers. The system is all-weather and has the capability to adapt to diverse climatic regions. It is noteworthy that when grouped together as air defense resources, the S-300 anti-aircraft missile systems can reliably protect tens of thousands of square kilometers from airborne threats. The S-300 is frequently acknowledged as being among the most potent anti-aircraft missile defenses employed by Russian forces. Considering all of these characteristics, we can imagine that the S-300 is indeed a highly capable air defense system. But such ideas seem more akin to fantasy than reality. The fact that Vladimir Putin's hometown has been repeatedly targeted by airstrikes since the war began, including the most recent drone strike in St. Petersburg, indicates that the S-300s are not sufficient for Russian defense. On the flip side, Russia's deficiency in air defense causes huge issues for not only St. Petersburg, but additionally for the capital, Moscow. Moscow, the capital of Russia, has been, arguably, among Kiev's most crucial objectives since the start of the Ukrainian invasion. With a total population of about 18 million, including suburban regions, it was deemed profoundly improbable that Ukrainians could perform a successful assault on Moscow. Vladimir Putin, specifically, expressed total confidence in the safety of the capital. In fact, Ukrainian forces have been rehearsing drone strikes on Moscow, Russia's capital, since the onset of the war. Among the Ukrainian military's most current trials was their biggest attack on Moscow to date, during November of 2023. 34 aerial drones pierced the capital's defenses. Aerial vehicle-style drones were used during the assault. Air travel was halted at 3 major airports within the city. The Russian Federal Air Transport Agency disclosed that Domodedovo, Sheremetyevo, and Zhukovsky airports diverted a total of 36 flights before resuming standard operations. There was a tremendous sense of panic among the residents of Moscow. Video footage that circulated across various social media platforms depicting the attack in the city highlighted several instances of fires. When trying to understand how Ukrainians were able to penetrate Moscow's aerial defenses, it is crucial to consider the protection systems in place in Moscow. The city and the surrounding central district have always been the most heavily guarded areas in Russia. As of now, protection of the capital and central district is the responsibility of the 1st Air and Missile Defense Army. The capital's anti-air missile defense system has a multi-layered architecture made up of 2 distinct layers. The first is the A135M strategic missile defense system. The second is the S500, which contains the Ball-1 and Universal-1 automated control systems, the S400 and S300 PM2 complexes, and the Pantsir anti-aircraft units. These are all backed by various radar stations that are in place to give detection and guidance to defensive air missiles. The comprehensive array of systems is in place to counter airstrikes, cruise missiles, and intercontinental ballistic missile warheads. However, as was proven during the November attack, the Ukrainians managed to circumvent this double-layered and impressive defense system in Moscow and succeed with the drone attack. Experts suspect that the aerial vehicle utilized within the Moscow attacks were A22 Flying Fox drones, which was also utilized within the recent strike against a Russian installation in the Caspian Sea port of Kaspiysk in Dagestan. If you recall, that aerial vehicle traveled 1,000 miles during the attack in Dagestan. This same aerial vehicle might have once again penetrated the aerial defenses of Moscow. Irrespective of the drone types used, another key reason for the success of this attack was the fact that the defense doctrine in the capital downplayed any aerial threats. It is true that drone defenses have not ever been a core function of the anti-air missile defense systems in service with the First Army. Neither the 2021 National Security Strategy nor the 2014 military doctrine of the Russian Federation classifies drones as a risk to national security. The April 2, 2019 concept for the growth of the aerospace defense of the Russian Federation up to the year 2030 likewise has no section dedicated to countering drones. When the Russian Ministry of Defense issued a report on the growth of Russian aerospace forces at the beginning of the war, it stated that upgrades to the Moscow missile defense systems would be finished by the year 2023. However, the threat posed by aerial vehicles was not specifically noted. The capacity and intent of Ukrainian drones to strike targets of high importance inside Russian territory was obvious by the fall of the last year. During November 2022, Russian Security Council Secretary Nikolai Patrushev called for increased air defense forces within the Central Federal District, specifically to secure critical locations. Considering the attacks against Russian airports that took place in December of 2022, along with the more recent drone strike in Moscow, the realization of such vulnerability came too late. Lieutenant General Aitek Biev, former Deputy Commander-in-Chief of the Russian Air Force for the Commonwealth of Independent States Air Defense System, proposed the establishment of 24/7 anti-air defense posts in strategically important locations, including the Kremlin, Ministry of Defense, and the Federal Security Service headquarters. Sadly, that suggestion was never implemented. As indicated by Yuri Knutov, a military specialist and director of the Air Defense Forces Museum, this was most likely because, in the wake of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, most of Russia's anti-air defense systems were moved nearer the Ukrainian border. The installation of anti-air defenses on top of a number of Moscow buildings in January of this year also highlights the fact that the Russian military is going through a severe lack of short-range systems. On the flip side, the Pantsir anti-air defense systems, which are in place within the capital, have frequently failed in their attempts to detect lower speed and compact targets such as military drones. These anti-air defense systems would frequently register false targets, including large birds that happen to fly by. The Russian military has now crafted plans to deploy a bigger number of Tor M2 systems at military installations located inside and around Moscow. Even then, the Tor M2 was not considered the perfect defense system. It detected aerial vehicles with a 70% or greater success rate from a distance of 99.15 kilometers, or 5.59 miles. In addition, the lowest altitude at which the system could detect incoming targets was 30 to 60 meters. Considering that there is a good deal of interference within urban areas, the probability of detecting, targeting, and eliminating any target is significantly lower in Moscow. The success of the Tor M2 was also lower at night. The timing of drone strikes against Moscow and other Russian cities such as Bryansk, Kursk, Belgorod, Voronezh, and other Russian cities suggests that such operations usually occur near midnight. Another serious obstacle is the fact that Russian anti-air defenses can neutralize drone attacks only at an extremely high cost. This also applies to the anti-air defenses of Moscow. Military analysts in the Russian Ministry of Defense have frequently noted the lower effectiveness and extremely high cost of destroying drones using conventional methods. Defense is made more difficult because aerial vehicles are typically constructed from plastic, use a small metal motor, and therefore have a low radar profile. Drones fly at lower altitudes and lower speeds, which make them difficult to shoot from a distance. They are additionally highly maneuverable, allowing them to evade radar systems and anti-air defense systems. This information suggests that the drone striking Russia could be launched from almost anywhere. The entire world already understands the high proficiency Ukraine has developed when using such devices. While Russia could not even safeguard its own capital, Ukraine has been working to take preemptive steps against aerial vehicle attacks from the moment the war began. Some of those measures have been notable. The appearance of police anti-drone units, especially within St. Petersburg, highlights how worried authorities are as well as the relatively low-tech countermeasures in use. Another measure has been a complete ban. Authorities in Moscow fully banned drone flights early within the war. There has also been discussion that more sophisticated systems will be implemented in order to protect the capital in the future. Laser and microwave weapons are also under development in Russia, but are still very far from being implemented. Russia's demonstrated inability to adequately protect even its capital, Moscow, along with the fact that contemporary anti-air defenses have not been deployed in the city, is causing huge morale issues within the populace. While there is a threat to life in St. Petersburg and Moscow, there seems to be very little that Russian citizens are capable of doing to combat it. Over the last 10 years, and specifically since February 2022, surveillance has become a critical part of Vladimir Putin's campaign of intensified political repression. This oppression stops people from being honest and forthright concerning their feelings regarding political issues and daily life in Russia. Many individuals oppose the occupation of Ukraine, along with the repressive policies inside Russia, but they are not able to express these feelings because open challenges against the policies of Putin's administration can lead ordinary people into severe hardship. For that reason, Russian citizens, who understand that the attacks on St. Petersburg and Moscow are actually the responsibility of Vladimir Putin, can do nothing but remain silent. But if the war were to reach all the way into St. Petersburg and Moscow, the heart of Russia, Vladimir Putin will come to understand the real meaning of that silence. Although many Russian citizens hold hope that things will not escalate to such a tragic point, it is most likely the decisions that Putin makes which will decide the future of every Russian city, including St. Petersburg and Moscow. Thank you for watching our channel. We have covered many critical events across the globe, and it's important to keep up with these developments. Please remember that our conclusions will be at the end of this video.